us what's the position of the United Nations regarding the current situation in Sudan.
Hi, Esther. Well, they're very, very concerned. It's not going in a good direction. More than 6,000 civilians killed since fighting started in mid-April between the army and the rapid security forces. More than 7 million Sudanese displaced, both inside the country and outside, as you mentioned, many going to Chad. The UN said just 8,000 alone last week went to Chad from Darfur because fighting is escalating in that region. The parties have spoken about a ceasefire, but the top Africa official at the United Nations, Martha Poby, said last week that their actions on the ground suggest otherwise. We've seen the fighting spread. West Darfur is of extreme concern right now. And in North Darfur, the RSF looks ready to advance on Al Fasher. Poby said there are many, many displaced people in Al Fasher. It could be very deadly and dangerous for them if hostilities escalate in that area. There's also concern for the ethnic Masalites in Darfur. There are disturbing and credible reports, the United Nations says, of Arab militias allied with the RSF who have been targeting ethnic Masalit in West Darfur. And the fighting is spreading. I mean, Khartoum has been very bad since April, but there's continuing to be fighting around army strongholds there, the Sudanese Armed Forces strongholds. But now the UN says fighting is spreading to Gezira, White Nile, and Kordofan states. So this crisis is just growing instead of ending. The UN has backed IGAD and the African Union initiatives to try and find some sort of ceasefire for Sudan.
Margaret, you know, the Sudan government has made it very clear that it has problems with the United Nations in recent months. It has kicked their top representatives at the UN. They also say they no longer want their political mission at the UN headquarters. So what's the status of UNITAMS, and how will this affect humanitarian aid to Sudan?
So UNITAMS is the political mission that the UN has in Sudan. And early on in the fighting, the government of Sudan basically kicked out Mr. Volker Perthes, who was the top UN official there. He headed the mission. And so since then, relations have really gone downhill. Now, on last week, on Thursday, I believe it was, the government of Sudan sent the United Nations a letter saying that the mission should shut down totally. But they said they are open to some sort of new, appropriate, and agreed upon formula for a political mission in Sudan. The mandate of the mission, which was given to it by the Security Council in 2020, will expire on December 3rd. So very little notice for the UN to sort of pivot and figure something out. Right. There will be an assessment done now to figure out some way forward. So we'll see where it goes from there. And the Secretary General also announced last week that he's appointing the former Algerian Foreign Minister, Ramtan Lamamra, as his personal envoy for Sudan. But the envoy will not be based in Sudan.
Right.